Okay, so we've got a pretty crazy stack of articles here all about the 2024 election, Elon Musk, and Dogecoin,
Lots to unpack there.
for sure. And it looks like you're really interested in this Department of Government Efficiency thing.
The DOGE department, right?
Yeah, exactly. What is it? Is it even legal? And what does it all mean for Dogecoin?
Well, it's definitely a fascinating story. It's like this weird intersection of politics, technology, and finance.
Like a meme-based cryptocurrency influencing government policy.
Exactly. And at the heart of it, you've got this incredibly ambitious plan to restructure the entire federal government.
Okay, so let's break this down for our listener.
Okay.
First things first. Donald Trump won the election.
Yep.
And that seems to have set off like a huge rally in the crypto market.
Yeah. Bitcoin hit new all-time highs, and Dogecoin in particular just exploded.
It went from what, like 15 cents to 43 cents in just a few days?
Something like that. Yeah. The highest it's been in over 3 years.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying this is directly because of Trump's win and his relationship with Elon Musk.
Oh, absolutely. Musk is a huge supporter of Dogecoin. Remember all those tweets?
Oh, yeah. And during the campaign, Trump kept talking about creating this DOGE department with Musk potentially in charge.
Right.
And they said the goal was to find $2 trillion
$2 trillion with a T.
in federal budget cuts. It's almost impossible to even imagine that much money.
It's a crazy amount, and it raises so many questions like what exactly are they going to cut? And is any of this even legal?
Right, because some of these articles you send are making it sound like this DOGE thing might be totally illegal, especially with Musk at the helm.
Yeah, there are definitely some major red flags. One of the biggest concerns is that they're designing DOGE to operate outside of normal government oversight.
So wait, how can a government department exist outside of the government?
That's what everyone's trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And it's got legal experts freaking out because
Okay.
if DOGE isn't subject to the same rules and regulations as other agencies, then where's the money coming from?
Good point. Some people are even saying it could be foreign governments.
Exactly. Which is obviously a huge national security concern. And then you've got Musk's whole relationship with Putin,
Yeah, that's not exactly reassuring given the current state of the world.
to say the least.
So is anyone even trying to stop this?
Well, even if Musk just decided to fund DOGE himself, it would still be illegal. Because you can't just have a private citizen running a government department.
It's like a recipe for disaster.
Pretty much. You've got potential corruption, abuse of power, constitutional crises, the whole 9 yards.
It's kind of wild how they're just ignoring all the rules.
It really is. And if they actually get away with this, it sets a dangerous precedent for future administrations.
It's like something out of a movie. This powerful billionaire, a controversial president, and a meme-based cryptocurrency, all tangled up in this high-stakes power play.
And to think that Dogecoin, the cryptocurrency at the center of this whole thing, started as a joke.
I know, right? It was literally a parody of the whole crypto craze, based on that Shiba Inu meme.
It just goes to show you how unpredictable the digital age is. Something that starts as a joke can suddenly become a major force to be reckoned with.
And now it might end up influencing major government decisions and even international relations.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
Okay, so we've talked about the legal problems, but what about the motivations behind all of this? Why is Trump so obsessed with this idea of government efficiency? And why is Musk so willing to go along with it?
Well, on the surface, it looks like Trump is trying to deliver on his campaign promises to cut government waste and drain the swamp.
Right, he's framing DOGE as a way to make the government work better for the people.
Exactly. But the problem is, $2 trillion in cuts is a lot more than just trimming the fat.
Yeah, that could mean dismantling entire departments and agencies.
Exactly. And a lot of people are worried that this isn't really about efficiency at all.
So what is it about then?
Some say it's about consolidating power and silencing anyone who disagrees with Trump.
A power grab disguised as a cost-cutting measure.
That's the concern. And it's a valid one. Imagine what could happen if DOGE has no oversight.
It's kind of scary to think about.
It is. And it makes you wonder who really benefits from all of this. Is it the American people or just a select few with their own agendas?
That's a great question, and one we'll definitely need to explore further as we dive deeper into this whole DOGE saga.
Because the implications for both the government and Dogecoin itself are potentially huge. It's interesting you bring up the whole idea of who benefits from all this because some of Trump's other staff picks seem to fit right into this efficiency thing, but in a very specific way.
You mean like Robert F. Kennedy Jr.?
Exactly, him.
The guy Trump picked for that health position.
Yeah,
Didn't he say something about Canadian Fruit Loops having fewer ingredients?
he did. which is actually a perfect example of how these little details can connect back to the bigger picture.
Really? How so?
Well, his claim about the number of ingredients was actually wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, both the Canadian and American versions of Fruit Loops have about the same number.
Huh. Interesting. I do remember something about different types of ingredients, though.
You're right, there is a difference. RFK Jr. was actually trying to point out the artificial food dyes they use in the US versus Canada.
Oh, okay. So what's the difference?
Canadian regulations are stricter on certain dyes that are allowed in American food.
So even though he messed up the details, he was getting at a real issue.
Exactly. He was talking about the differences in how the two countries handle food safety.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. But how does this connect back to DOGE and government efficiency?
Well, it shows that Trump's version of efficiency isn't just about cutting costs and red tape. It's about changing how the government works with industries and corporations.
It's not really about practicality. It's more about ideology.
Exactly. RFK Jr.'s appointment, along with some of Trump's other picks, seems to point to a desire to get rid of certain regulations.
Like in food safety, the environment, consumer protection.
Exactly.
But doesn't that seem counterintuitive? Aren't those regulations there to protect people?
Well, yeah. But the people who want less regulation argue that it's good for the economy and helps businesses innovate without the government getting in the way.
And I'm guessing the people against it say that it puts profits ahead of people and gets rid of important safety measures.
You got it. That's the main point of disagreement.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to get even more intense as DOGE starts to actually happen. If it happens.
So this whole thing is basically a tiny version of the bigger political divide in America.
I think so. It's about different ideas of the government's role, the balance between freedom and responsibility, and even what progress really means.
And it's all happening with this crazy cryptocurrency market as the backdrop. And Dogecoin right in the middle of it all.
Don't forget the national security issues and the ethical problems with Musk being involved, too.
It's just nuts. It's like we've got politics, finance, technology, and breakfast cereal all mixed up together.
It's a total mess, but it's also a fascinating example of how totally random things and people can come together and create these crazy moments in history.
Okay, so for our listener who's really interested in Dogecoin, what should they be paying attention to as this story goes on?
Well, legally, it'll be important to see how the courts react to the lawsuits against DOGE. If they decide against it, this whole thing could fall apart pretty quickly.
And if they don't?
Then we need to really look at what DOGE is doing and what choices they're making, like which departments and programs are they cutting, how do they explain those cuts, what are they saying about it?
Because how they talk about DOGE will tell us a lot about what they really want to do with it.
Right, exactly, and what the effects might be.
And we have to keep an eye on Musk, too. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's he doing? What's he saying? How's he dealing with all the ethical and legal problems?
Because, let's be real, he hasn't always made the best choices.
True.
And then there's the big question. What's going to happen to Dogecoin's value as this whole drama plays out?
Honestly, it's impossible to say. But one thing is certain. This roller coaster ride is far from over.
It's funny, isn't it? This whole Dogecoin, DOGE thing.
Right.
Like, Dogecoin was literally made as a joke. It was supposed to be a charity.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And now this joke is at the center of this huge government thing. Maybe even a constitutional crisis.
You're right. It really is kind of crazy.
Like reality is imitating satire or something.
It's almost like, I think it shows just how weird and unpredictable this digital age is.
Where memes can turn into movements and online stuff actually affects the real world.
Exactly. And where a billionaire can tweet a few times and suddenly change how the entire U.S. government works.
It's like, whoa, where did all the power go?
Right. It makes you wonder if things are changing, like if the old ways of doing things are being challenged by all this new online stuff.
Yeah. And it makes you think about what happens next. Like, what are the consequences of all this DOGE craziness?
Is it actually going to make the government better? More efficient?
Or will it just make things worse? More corruption, more inequality.
Who knows? I guess we'll have to wait and see.
But one thing's for sure, this story isn't over yet. There's definitely more to come. And to our listener, we want to know what you think about all of this. How do you see all this playing out? Dogecoin, DOGE, the future of government.
Let us know.
Yeah,
and until next time, keep diving deep.